sending pictures just into our newsroom, shows us the deplorable conditions Michelle Blair forced her children to live in.
But today, the medical examiner also revealed heartbreaking details about how Blair allegedly tortured her children before killing them. 7 Action News reporter Kimberly Craig is live in Detroit right now with details for us. Kim?
And Carolyn and Glenda, you talk about heartbreaking. This is probably one of the hardest cases I've had to sit through in my 20 years of reporting. And it was so sad to hear the medical examiner talk about how these children had been beaten and were so grossly malnourished. Even the court reporter could be seen wiping away tears. These are photographs taken from inside the townhouse where investigators say Michelle Blair tortured her children and killed 2 of them. We're told she first killed her 9-year-old son, Stephen, in August of 2012 and then shoved his body in this freezer. About a year later, Blair is accused of killing her 13-year-old daughter, Stoney, and putting her body on top of Stephen's.
Both had been slapped in the face. Both of them had chipped teeth, and both of them had actual tears in the mucous membrane of the inner aspect of the lip.
Dr. Carl Schmidt from the Wayne County Medical Examiner's Office says it took 2 days to thaw the children's bodies before he could examine them, and what he found was nothing short of horrifying. On 13-year-old Stoney, he says the blows to her head were too many to count.
And actually the entire scalp was suffused with hemorrhage, which meant that she had received numerous impacts over the head.
And then there's 9-year-old Stephen, who we're told had countless burns all over his body.
When we see burn patterns like this, it means that there was some kind of object with 4 parallel lines which left the brand. It's like branding. You left that pattern on the skin.
In this custody trial, the state is trying to terminate Michelle Blair's parental rights to her 2 surviving children, as well as their father's rights. The state calling them deadbeat dads who rarely saw or even called to check in on their children to see if they were okay. Before he found out his son had been killed, it had been 5 years since Stephen Berry had seen his son Stephen. Berry was locked up for a couple of those years, but he was released from prison in the spring of 2013. And he says Michelle Blair only let him see their youngest son and told him Stephen was mad at him. What he didn't know was that Stephen was already dead.
I didn't speak to him at all after my incarceration.
Why?
Because I was told that he was mad at me for not contacting him or, being there.
And that just adds to the heartache for these children. They had been dead for 2 to 3 years, and not even their own fathers fought to see them or even talk to them. But now they are blaming, apparently, CPS, Child Protective Services, for not removing the children in 2005 when CPS actually found and determined there to be abuse in the house. One of the fathers, Carolyn tells me, the father of Stoney Blair, says he now plans on suing the state. Back to you.
Kim, real quick, we just saw her sitting there stone-faced, no outbreaks today. She seemed so violent and volatile yesterday when she was in that courtroom.
She had a couple of outbursts. Really, they were rather ridden with expletives, so we couldn't really, it would have been a lot of beeping going on. But nothing as violent as yesterday, but you can see when she is sitting there and when she is listening to testimony that she is angry. She is very angry. She still maintains that she has love for her 2 surviving children. She says she will always be their mother, but she does not acknowledge the life or death of the 2 dead children. Back to you.
All right, Kim, I know it's a tough case to cover because it's a tough case for us to hear. Thank you so much for the live report. Glenda?